back and everything.
The room will be here. And Lechato D, which we ran a little bit.
That's the room.
Then Lechato D, then Ana B'choach in A minor. Then later on Asher Bidbaro.
I think it's out point. I'll just listen for what's next.
Okay, sorry. Your list was in order with one exception.
Oh, it was?
I think, from my memory.
Okay. Yeah, just tell me.
Okay, but I'll be introing. Oh, shall we?
Oh, this is.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Yasharim, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Yasharim, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh. We're on page 49. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Yasharim, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharim, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachuni לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם, מלאכי השרים, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שלום עליכם, מלאכי השרים, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. Shabbat Shalom. Thanks for coming out and joining us outdoors in this kind of confusing weather. I'm excited to be here in person with some of you, virtually with some of you, theoretically. We got our live stream going. We've got some extra music happening this evening. We've got Dan Gordon drumming and Joe Horowitz playing the bass. They're both singing. We've got amplification here for the first time in a while. I mean, this is pretty exciting. I'm really grateful to Andrew for live streaming. And I want to begin by acknowledging that most of us are davening today on the ancestral lands of the Anacostan people. That's not necessarily the case for everyone. So if you're live streaming and you're able to use the chat function, you can chat and say where you are at. But for those of us here in the space right now and those in the live streaming from the neighborhood, we are occupying Nacotchtank and Anacostan homeland, and their presence is imbued in this land, these rivers, islands, and coastal plains. So we offer our respects to their elders, past and present. Let's just take a deep breath, get ready to light some candles. The drizzle has stopped. Maddie is gonna light for us. The candles are in the back on that table back there. Yeah, and you can turn to page 1 if you need the text for the blessing. There are cedarine back there if you don't have one, and also supplements. We'll be using an extra sheet of paper sometime. But for now, we're on the candle lighting, page 1. Go for it. There should be matches next to it, are there not? You got it? Is the wind not letting you do it? Nice. Yasher koach. Thanks, Maddie. Let's turn to page 3 and continue to say goodbye to the week and welcome in the beloved that is this sacred time, Yadid Nefesh, page 3. Invitation for a new song, a new opportunity, a new outlook, a new perspective, new Shabbat. Shil Adonai.
Shil Adonai, Shil Adonai, Shil Adonai, Kol Haaretz, Shil Adonai, Kimo, Asu miyom leyom Yeshuato, Zapu v'goyim, Kivodo b'chol ha'amim nifleotav, Ki gadol Adonai, U'mulal me'orot,
Page 8. Adonai malach yilgazu amim yoshev chluvim tanut haaretz. Bottom of the page at the diamond. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'yishachavu be'al kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'yishachavu be'al kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'yishachavu be'al kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'yishachavu be'al kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Page 10. An Ana B'Koach. Words inviting us towards empowerment. Being empowered through a partner, through seeking freedom, through seeking unity. Ana B'Koach. Ana B'Koach, B'Koach, Gedula Yamincha, Yamincha, Tatil Tzerura, Gaber Yinatamcha, Tzadvenu, Tzarenu, Nora. Ana B'Koach, Gedulat Yamincha, Tatil Tzerura, Tatil Tzerura, Gaber Yinatamcha, Tzadvenu, Tzarenu, Nora. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, nay, nay. Nay, 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 nay. Ana B'Koach, Gedulat Yamincha, Tatil Tzerura, Tatil Tzerura, Gaber Yinatamcha, Tzadvenu, Tzarenu, Nora. Lay, 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 lay. Lay, 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 lay. Lay, 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 lay. Lay, 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 lay. Page 11, L'chad Odi. In fact, the chorus of L'chad Odi is found at the top of page 11, but we are actually going to be singing the final 4 verses, which can all be found on page 12. When we're about to get to the last verse, verse 9, we'll rise and face the entrance. I feel like for most people who live in the like that's, yeah, right. But like if you came from that direction, did anyone come from this direction?
The Shabbos bride wants nothing to do with that building.
Oh my gosh.
תשכחי ומטעמי
בך יחסו עניי
עמי ואני נצא יראתי לך אותי תתרגלה ואני שבת
קבלה Sarai, Elahai, Isos Katam, ימין ושמאל תפרוצי את אדוני תעריצי על יעריש בן פרצי ונשמחה
ונגילה לך דודי תקרת עליו ונשבת קבלה
Shalom, Kabbalah, גם
שמחה וצולה
תוך אמוני הסגולה
בואי חלב לך תקרת עליו ונשבת
Turn to page 15, and we'll actually rise once again for the Chatzi Kaddish. It's like taking a look at this awesome minyan around us.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמך הבא ועמד יברכיותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל בעגלה בעגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן ישמר אבא מברך לעולם ולעולמי המיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח יתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי לקודשה בו ילכו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן ועמה ואמרו amen. Page 16, the call to prayer. ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
You may be seated, and This evening, our Ma'ariv Aravim, our blessing for transitions and our blessing for moving into evening can be found on your supplementary sheet of paper, which there's a stack of those over by the Siddurim back there if you didn't grab one before.
Part of the same starlit sky. Eloheinu melech haolam. Sunset falls in the boundaries of Olam. Asher bidvaro ma'ariv arabim b'chokhma potech she'arim. Ubitbuna mishaneh חליפת הזמנים ברוך אתה אדוני. We are part of the same starlit sky. אלוהינו מלך העולם. Sunset falls in the boundaries of Olam. Every night at exactly the right time, sunset falls. On the other side of your supplement, for our next blessing, Ahavat Olam, of eternal love, let's read together this poem by Devin Spear. How are you listening? And through your listening, creating pathways to the fullest possible belonging. Love is a verb. Read with me. How are you teaching? And through your teaching, flinging open the gates of judicious learning and kind humility. Love is a verb. And most importantly, how is your life a blessing? Because all of your actions combined should bring the world tides and tides of blessings. And through your sowing, bring the generations before and after you to pastures of feeling, grieving, and healing. Love is a verb. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה, ואהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים. Page 17. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We collect ourselves at the bottom of the page for the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאותה ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Continue silently. Adonai Elohechem emet. Page 21, ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה מימן ובני ישראל הכנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. אמר חוטיך ראו בניך, בוקר היה עם לפני משה, זה אלי אנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. נאמר כי בדלנו את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Back on your supplement you find our Hashki Venu, our blessing of protection and safety this evening for a sense of security. Being in these tents reminds me of Sukkot and like how we always talk on Sukkot about like being secure with the idea of things just not being certain or predictable. But I feel like I'm feeling that vibe this evening with how the weather was kind of weird, and you know, we just decided to be outside last night, but it's kind of working out and it's kind of especially beautiful, and so yeah, security in the face of uncertainty. Hashki Venu. Hashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamideinu l'chayim Spread the shelter of your peace over פרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני, הבורא סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל, והר ירושלים. Page 23. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת בתודה בריתונם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לתודה בריתונם. כי ששת ימים עשו אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לתודה בריתונם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לתודה בריתונם. All right, on page 25, we'll rise together for the Amidah, and our evening Amidah is a silent one. It's a chance for us to rise together, face in the same direction. Live streamers, we're all facing towards Jerusalem. For us, that is this way, and taking time to be with our text, to be with our thoughts. We'll join back together with a prayer for peace, Ose Shalom, at the bottom of page 31, so you can have a seat when you're ready. Adonai shefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha.
continue at your own pace or join us at the bottom of page 31. Oseh Shalom.
Shalom Shalom Aleinu.
Kol Yisrael, lo yoshvim So I had the opportunity this past Sunday to offer some words of gratitude and goodbye to Pastor Mike Wilker, the pastor of Reformation. If you're not familiar with him, our hosts. During his farewell service with his congregation this past Sunday, he is leaving at the end of the month and going to Iowa. And so I shared the words of a shared holy text of ours, Ecclesiastes, Kohelet, that two are better off than one, in that they get more out of their work together, for should they fall, one can raise the other. And I shared that I truly believe that this text is true of our two congregations and of my relationship with Pastor Mike, that we've been friends for a while and have worked together in powerful ways, but that the text didn't even go as far as I wanted it to, which was to state that I personally have learned a lot from him, and I think our congregation has learned a lot from theirs. They're an older, more experienced, big brother, big sister kind of congregation to us, and I told them as much, and I wanted them to know that I'm really grateful for that relationship. And I was really grateful for what happened next, which was that Pastor Mike, off the cuff, quoted the line that comes right 2 verses after what I quoted, which is that a threefold cord is not readily broken. And what he said is that the third in our relationship, that of Hilchavara and Lutheran Church of the Reformation, is God. And I thought it was a really beautiful reminder of the sacred connection between our congregations. I believe that God's presence is part of every connection and every relationship, but it reminded me that I believe that not only Pastor Mike, but all of Reformation, they really think about the relationship between us in that way. And when you're thinking about a relation that way, it can be especially strengthening. And I think many Hilchavara folks see Pastor Mike as the face of Reformation, our point of contact with them, so to speak. But you should have heard the applause from the crowd there after he said that. It was really touching. I feel like we have a connection as congregations as a whole through work we've done together and the learning we've shared, and just our shared awareness of each other. We're constantly thinking about them, sort of living in their space, but they're constantly thinking about us too, in the way that we make our presence felt. So in this week's Parsha, Yaakov Avinu, our patriarch Jacob, is on his deathbed, and he calls out to his children to bless them. He gives them each a unique blessing and tells them
how he would like each of them to remember him and honor his life once he's passed on. So I'm not exactly comparing Pastor Mike to Yaakov Avinu, and I'm certainly not comparing moving to Iowa to be with your family to dying at all, but I did feel some echoes of this idea of sacred leave taking with the way Pastor Mike spoke to his congregation this Sunday. Saying goodbye is hard. People do not tend to be very good at it. We tend to try to get out of it. We say things like, "We'll see you later," or "I'll come visit like in a few months," or "we can FaceTime." We tend to emphasize any possible future point of contact rather than the fact that a relationship as we knew it is about to be done. When we're saying goodbye to someone, at least I see this pattern in myself and in a lot of other people too, like we really just try to minimize what we're actually doing. People go through mental and linguistic gymnastics to avoid a straightforward goodbye. But I deeply respect what Pastor Mike did this past Sunday. He never mentioned coming back to visit. He never mentioned any continued contact. He focused on the legacy that he wanted to leave there. He wanted his congregation, he said, to fight for housing equity and housing justice in this city. He wanted them to go to city council and make their voices heard. He wanted his congregation to stand up for marginalized people in the city. And he wanted his congregation to maintain a strong relationship with Hill Havara and the Washington Interfaith Network and Southeast Ministry. I think that if he had focused on some hope for an ongoing relationship between him and his congregation, he'd have taken away from the power of his charge for them. He had a blessing for them that he wanted them to hear on this farewell moment, and he spoke it. Goodbye. Good is in the word. Adios, adieu. God is in the word. Shalom. Peace is the word. There is holiness and peace in a clear leave taking, in a charge given, a blessing offered, a final exhortation and vision. Yaakov Avinu left that for his children. Pastor Mike left that for his congregation, and I feel for us as well, as we are part of that threefold cord with them. So my blessing for us this Shabbat is that we have the presence to hear when these blessings are offered to us, that we're not afraid of the goodbye. We take the good in them, and we might honor the legacies of the great ones who move on from our lives with loving action. Shabbat Shalom. I'd like to invite Sheldon Harris, not technically a board member, but just an esteemed person, to offer some announcements. I think of you as esteemed.
Thank you. Save that for Pastor Mike. First of all, good Shabbos, everyone. Good Shabbos to the thousands of people watching us worldwide and sharing Shabbat with us. It's good to be together, whatever time zone you're in. Also, I would like to thank Joe. What a great job. I mean, you've elevated us to another level with your music, and the rabbi always does a great job. And Dan, I'm sorry, Dan, I apologize. So, announcements, that's what you're all on the edge of your seats about. And I don't want to disappoint you, but the announcements are very short and sweet. Basically, starting from Shabbat until January 8th, that's it. We're all taking a break. We're all going to go into our own little spiritual and non-spiritual world and just kind of adventure off. But we are back January 8th, but if you need anything between now and January 8th, you know who to contact. And we'll let you figure that out on who to contact. But seriously, do take away two things. One is, most importantly, good Shabbos. And second of all, we're going to shut down just quietly again until January 8th. But something comes up, you can follow and figure out where to get a hold of us. And follow the news and the schmoozy news. So all of that, and finally, thank you all for joining us tonight.
Shekoach. Thank you, Sheldon. That was rivaling Lori Solnick announcements. That was like on that level. Amazing. All right. Let's turn to page 130 in our Sidurim and take a moment to say a blessing for those in need of healing. I know that there are definitely folks here who are in need of one type of healing or another, and folks who we love, who we're thinking of. I know I have some on my mind. If you'd like to say their names out loud or just inside, you can do so.
Rabbi Jeff Marker and Roberta Congress.
Rob Lasker and Hermine Gladstone.
Charles too.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Nishaberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Let's turn to page 100. Why? No. Page 41 for Aleinu. Please rise in body or in spirit. Aleinu l'shabach la'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו. וידעת היום והשבות ללבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת, אין עוד. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. If it's your tradition to do so, or if you're in mourning or observing a yard site, I invite you to remain standing on page 44 for the mourner's Kaddish. If there's someone you're actively remembering right now, someone who passed in the last year or this time of year and a year before, or just a name you'd like to lift up, I invite you to do so.
Rachel Doliger.
Gene Mitchell.
Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba. Ve'alma divra chirute ve'amlich malchute. B'chayechon uvyomechon u'chaye dechol bet Yisrael. Ba'agala u'bizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi shemei Rabba b'barach le'olam u'lamei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'al v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadal v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha b'lihu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom mimomav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. You may be seated. We'll sing together one last song on page, the next page, right? Yeah, page 45. Adon Olam. Adon Olam Asher Malach בטרם כל יציר נברא ונעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא אומר והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעד נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא אומר והוא יהיה בתפארה והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית בלוז והמזרח והוא אלי וחי גואלי וסוחב לי בעת צרה והוא ניסי ומנוסי עונת כוסי ביום אחד אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעד נעשה בחפצו אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא והוא יהיה בתפארה בידו אף כדרוכי בעת תשען ואעירה ואם רוחי גביעתי אדוני לי ולא אירא אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעד נעשה בחפצו אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא אומר והוא יהיה בתפארה. Shabbat Shalom, Yasher Koach, Yasher Koach. Let's gather over there for Kiddush and Motzi. There's gotta be some kind of, we don't have our like usual setup this evening in terms of Kiddush or Motzi, so like we might have to improvise a safe way to like break the challah, but like I think there are napkins, like we'll figure it out. Let's just be thoughtful about that and gather back there. Thanks. Shabbat Shalom.
I apologize.
Oh, that's okay.